March 11th, 1984. The highly anticipated movie Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind was released and became an instant smash hit. In 1985, they made plans to release Nausicaa in the United States through a company known as New World Pictures. New World Pictures was founded in 1970 by brothers Gene and Roger Corman as a solution to the interference and lack of creative control from the bigger studios in the industry. New World soon became one of the most successful independent companies in the nation and the last low-budget film distributor at the time. The studio helped bring several foreign films to the country, from critically acclaimed directors like Ingmar Bergman, Federico Fellini, and Akira Kurosawa. The studio also became a good training facility for up-and-coming directors such as Ron Howard, Joe Dante, and Jonathan Demme. In 1983, Roger Corman sold New World for almost $17 million. Under new ownership, the company was taken public. In 1985, they agreed to release Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind in the United States, but they were not sure what the American public would think about a movie called Nausicaa. So they decided to change the title to something they felt was more appealing. And Warriors of the Wind was released on June 13th, 1985. As for the plot of the movie, it's pretty much the same except for a few small differences. The biggest difference is that the names of several characters have been changed. Nausicaa is now Princess Sandra, Sandra with a Z. Asbel has been changed to Prince Milo, Princess Kushana to Queen Selena, Mito was given the name Axel, Kurotawa was just named General, Tato's name is now Foxy, yeah, very original. The Ohms are now called Gorgons, and the God Warriors are now Fire Demons. I'm going to tell you guys something that I often contemplate about this movie. When I first saw Disney's restored version of Nausicaa several years ago, there was a tiny part in the back of my brain that told me that I had seen this movie somewhere before as a kid. When I found out about Warriors of the Wind, I asked myself, could this be the Nausicaa adaptation I was thinking of? The movie was released in 1985, before I was even born, but it got a re-release on VHS in 1991. When my parents couldn't find a sitter for me, they would take me to work with them, and we would often stop by the video store to rent something so I could occupy myself. My favorite genre to rent was animation. Could I have rented Warriors of the Wind at one point, and I just wiped it from my mind because I thought it was too boring? Maybe. Or maybe it's just a false sense of déjà vu. Who knows? The movie is boring if you just watch it on its own. But with the knowledge that this was America's first attempt to bring Hayao Miyazaki's work to the US, this movie became an important part of cinema history. As a movie on its own, though, it failed for 3 reasons. The first is the voice acting. Most of the voices are pretty decent. The problem was lack of direction. It's said that several of the voice actors came forward in later years and admitted that they had no idea what they were recording for at the time. As a result, the actors sound more like they are just reading the lines rather than expressing them. One common mystery that's often thrown about is who actually were the actors. The most recognizable voices are legendary voice actors Cam Clarke as Prince Milo and Peter Cullen as General. Clarke would later go on to play Leonardo in the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and Peter Cullen is best remembered as Optimus Prime from Transformers. The one voice that seems to have the internet split is the voice of Lord Yupa. Many sites vary depending on their opinions. Some sites credit actor Hal Smith, best remembered as the town drunk Otis on The Andy Griffith Show. Hal Smith does narrate the film and provides the voice for Axel, so it's understandable that many would believe that he dubbed the voice for Lord Yupa as well. Other sites, however, including IMDb, credit Lord Yupa's voice to Russell Johnson, the professor on Gilligan's Island. Me personally, I believe it's Hal Smith.
You're a guest here, and what do? You go out and break the law.
There he goes, back to the toxic jungle, just like Sandra asked him.
Well, the first ratings came out, and my God, we were like number 3. That surprised everybody.
During my travels, I heard rumors of a creature from the ancient world that had been uncovered in the country of Placida.
The biggest miscast, though, is definitely Princess Sandra.
I'm Princess Sandra from the Valley of the Wind. Are we in heaven?
According to Nausicaa.net, there was a rumor that the late June Foray, who voiced Rocky in the Rocky and Bullwinkle show, was the voice of Princess Sandra. But with a resume as big as Foray's, she couldn't recall if she had did Warriors of the Wind. Then one day, Emru Townsend, a subscriber of the Miyazaki mailing list, sent a copy of Warriors to Foray for confirmation. June Foray denied that it was her voice. Since then, it's widely believed that the voice was provided by actress Susan Davis, best known as the mother from the Matthew Broderick movie War Games. What an odd choice, having a 40-something-year-old voice a character that's obviously in her late teens, early 20s.
The eye. Perfect! Huh? The sounds of fighting again!
Wait a minute, are we skipping scenes here? Yeah, that leads to the second reason why this movie failed. Lack of character depth. The staff at New World cut out several scenes from Nausicaa, claiming that they were slow-moving. The moment where Nausicaa detaches the eye shield from the Ohm shell, gone. The moment where Nausicaa sits and admires the beauty of the toxic jungle, gone. The scene inside Nausicaa's secret room, gone. The scene between Nausicaa and the children, yeah, you get the idea. Overall, the result in cutting out these scenes and more shortened the film's length by a half hour. The problem is, these scenes that New World felt slowed the movie down actually contained important moments of world building and character development. Going back to the 4 scenes I just mentioned, the moment when Nausicaa takes off the Ohm's eye shield is shown in great detail, visually proving to us that Nausicaa knows how to handle herself. She's a survivor, trained in using the limited number of tools that she has on her to accomplish her goals. The moment where Nausicaa sits admiring the nature of the toxic jungle helps to establish the location, its dangers, and Nausicaa's admiration for it all. In the scene inside Nausicaa's secret room, she reveals an important discovery to Lord Yupa about the toxic jungle. Thus, taking the scene out of Warriors of the Wind resulted in destroying the film's environmental message. New World claimed that they felt that the environmental message would be too complicated for American children to contemplate. And of course, taking out the scene between Nausicaa and the children ruined an important moment of character depth, as the scene showed how much Nausicaa is loved by her people. I could go on for a while about the other scenes that were cut. So let's move on to the third reason why this movie failed. The advertising. The trailers were cut together to make it sound like the movie was going to be an action-packed sci-fi adventure against good and evil.
Warring nations close in from the south. Creatures of the dead world come haunting from the north. And the only hope for the future will be a small band of warriors. Warriors of the Wind, the most fantastic family adventure of their time and all time. Rated PG.
So when people went in with those expectations and saw the movie for what it was, they did give it praise for its animation, but they were underwhelmed by the story. And then of course there's the notorious movie poster. Talk about false advertising. You have a blonde Sandra, the main character, in the upper right corner. You have Prince Milo in the center riding what I can only assume is the melting fire demon. You have another fire demon standing next to him, about a fraction of its normal size, and then you have 2 characters that have nothing to do with the movie at all. How insulting is that? The international cover was more accurate. At least they put Sandra in the center of that one. And those are the 3 reasons why Warriors of the Wind was such a box office disappointment. As you can expect, Hayao Miyazaki was furious when he found out about the changes. In response, he adopted his famous no-cuts policy when it came to releasing his movies overseas ever since. New World Pictures' rights to Nausicaa expired in 1995. They carried on for a couple of more years before officially being defunct in 1997. The Nausicaa rights returned to Miyazaki and Tokuma Shoten just in time to be packaged in their deal with Walt Disney Studios in releasing the films of Studio Ghibli to the United States. But Disney was reluctant to release Nausicaa immediately, the famous reason being that the color of Nausicaa's pants was too similar to the color of her skin, which gave some the immediate impression that Nausicaa was actually bare-bottomed. But in 2005, an uncut version of Nausicaa was finally released in America with an all-star cast. Patrick Stewart as Lord Yupa, Uma Thurman as Princess Kushana, Chris Sarandon as Kuratawa, Edward James Olmos as Mito, and Shia LaBeouf as Asbel. It's said that Natalie Portman was originally supposed to voice Nausicaa, but the part ended up going to Alison Lohman, who in my opinion is the perfect English voice for Nausicaa. As Shia LaBeouf once described her, soft, subtle, and sweet. Just hearing her voice makes me go weak in the knees.
Wow! Is that a fox squirrel? I've never seen one before.
So now, thankfully, we have a version of the movie that everyone can enjoy. Today, Warriors of the Wind is seen as just a passing era, but it could have been so much more. It was given to New World Pictures at a time when Japanese animation was still very new in America, and wasn't taken as seriously as it is today. But if the studio had given it a chance, done right in 1985, this would have been a movie ahead of its time. But it has grown a cult following over the years because everyone is curious to see for themselves where it all began. Honestly, after seeing this movie, knowing the story behind it, I think it's quite fascinating. Obviously, it's not as good as the original, but still. While Miyazaki would prefer if the world forgot about it, Studio Ghibli enthusiasts see the film as a collector's item today. I personally own a copy of the 1985 VHS tape. If you want to find a copy for yourselves, eBay is your best option. Or if you want to watch it online, Internet Archive has a good copy as well. Yes, it is a watered-down version of the original, but I still think it's an important piece of cinema history and should be remembered. It's a hard film to put a rating on because it depends on your own personal preference. Because of its historical value, I'm going to give Warriors of the Wind 2.5 stars. Guys, thank you so much for continuing to watch and support my channel. It really means a lot to me. And if you like this, you can click here and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.